amazing.
I know, right? I feel this.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of cool. So on that note, welcome. Tell everybody who you are.
My name is Bas Rutten. I'm a retired mixed martial artist. Did really well. Won 3 world titles in Japan. Became UFC Heavyweight Champion in the UFC Hall of Fame. And I didn't lose a single fight in my last 22 matches. So, yeah, high finishing rate. I think it's an 89% finishing rate, equally between submissions and knockouts. So I'm very proud of that because that means I can knock you out or I can submit you. Whatever you give to me, I'll do. That's pretty much it. And then from that moment on, I started going into movies, TV. I had a TV show on TV for 9 years, 431 episodes.
Called?
I worked on Kevin Can Wait. I did a bunch of movies, many movies with Kevin James. He's a close friend of mine, and he always seemed to love me to be in it. So that's what we did.
What was your series? What was the series called?
Kevin Can Wait. I was in King of Queens a bunch of times, but Kevin Can Wait, I did like 23 episodes. But unfortunately, just before I became a series regular, they canceled the show for the 3rd season. So I came on the 2nd season, but that was one of the best jobs I ever had, I think. A sitcom, comedy is something I really enjoy.
And you're also an inventor.
Yes, I am.
Can I tell us?
I was a severe asthma patient, and I was also a track and field guy. I actually wanted to become, believe it or not, the next Bruce Jenner, because he was the decathlon gold medalist in 76, and I wanted to do decathlon as well. And but of course, my asthma, I was born with severe asthma and an eczema, a very bad skin disease that I had in my face and my hands. Of course, the 1500 meters was always a hard thing for me to do. But what I realized is every 5 weeks, I would have an asthma attack, like 8 days in bed, not able to eat because I couldn't breathe. There was like no way to pull air in. But then after the attack, I would always break my running times. And it would drive me nuts. I couldn't figure out what it was until I went into the doctor's office where I was breathing class. Every month I had to go to the doctor's office and one of the assistants would teach me how to breathe because a lot of people breathe raising the shoulders, which is completely wrong. You have to really use your core, your diaphragm. And I saw a poster of a pair of lungs on the wall in a frame. And as a kid, well, as an adult as well, you think that the infection is in your lungs, but it was not in your lungs. The airways to the lungs, that is where the infection is. And it showed a healthy airway and it showed an infected one. And that was it. I was 14. I go like, dude, I've been breathing in with resistance. I've been unknowingly making my lungs stronger. I thought my lungs were doing work at the time. I didn't realize it was different muscles that breathe for you.
Right.
So maybe, if I come up with an idea that I can control the air intake with and I can breathe with resistance in, I can make it stronger and then I get better. And many years later, every time, at a party, somebody would ask about an invention, somebody would talk about an invention, and then I would tell my invention. And everybody said, dude, you got to make that thing. And then eventually it led to somebody, one of the famous fighters, Vanderlei Silva, he was on a TV show called The Ultimate Fighter, in where 2 coaches have a team and the whole team fights. And then at the end, the 2 coaches fight each other. And he was training his students with snorkel devices. So my telephone went crazy and my text messages, I got a lot of them. They said, man, you got to make that thing. We called it the Ruttenizer at the time. Because my name is Rutten, the Ruttenizer, it was a cool name. And I started making it. And you have to believe that for my entire career, every fight, I needed my inhaler in the dressing room. Always needed an inhaler.
Wow.
And I trained 3 weeks with the prototype, and my asthma was gone. And I sent it to my friend in Holland who has asthma as well. He's selling them right now in Europe because in 8 days, he called me, he says, my asthma is gone. I go, dude, we're onto something.
Wow.
And then I started coming in contact, like 4 years ago, I had contact with a trainer from 4 Olympic gold medalists who were he did a bad review about my competition. And my manager called me and he said, hey, did you read the review? I said, no, I didn't. What are you talking about? Yeah, well, they tested this product. And I said, oh, it sucks, right? He said, how do you know? I said, because they control the air in and out, which is not a good thing to do, not simultaneously. You have to only control the air in.
Right.
I said, do me a favor, find that guy. I sent it over. And he said, do you want to do that? Because what if he says something bad about it? I said, we're curing asthma right now. I think we're going to be just fine. And he called the guy. And the guy says, oh, I'm representing Bas Rutten. Bas Rutten? Oh, to trainer. We already used that. So now I had suddenly 4 Olympic gold medalists who are already using it. And now I suddenly have 12 published medical journals to back every claim up that I always said it did. Boom. And now we were in business. Now suddenly people realize, wait a minute, it's real. And here we are. It's going actually pretty good. I kept my head above water with the whole COVID time.
Good, good. I love that. All right, so you've gone from being an amazing athlete, actor, inventor, entrepreneur. What's one habit you think is really important that sets you apart? Something
You know, I talk a lot. I do a lot of public speaking also, and I always talk about habits because my whole life is about habits. And my most important habit is creating good habits. That's really it. And also what I do is that if something doesn't work, I will never do it like that again. I'm very fast with those kind of things. So I'm all about creating good habits in whatever I do. I mean, it can be the dumbest thing. It can be coming out of the door. I used to live in an apartment building. I come out of the door, before I put the key in the door, I lock it up. I already walk to the elevator to press the elevator so it can come up at the time while I close the door. Everything is about saving time and going faster. You know, little things like that. Once I do it in my head, I can never steer away from it anymore. So, but I do it with everything. With training, that actually made me a really good fighter because I just simply tell myself I'm going to do something and I'm going to do it because the person I don't want to fail in front of is myself. And I'm that guy that if I say, oh, I'm going to do 10 rounds on the bag today after a workout, if I can only do 8, I know that at night when I brush my teeth, I can't look at myself in the mirror. I literally can't. I just trained myself. I'm ashamed that I didn't do my 10 rounds instead of, that I did 8 rounds instead of 10. You know, and I just drove that with everything that I did. And I think that is with the O2 trainer, that is with everything else. That's why, you know, it's working because if something doesn't work, I throw the habit out and I create a new habit. Well, actually, I never throw the habit out. I turned the bad habit into a good habit. It's a book that I read, The Greatest Salesman in the World. That's
Mendino, one of my favorite writers and one of my favorite books. But where did you come up with this? Was this instilled from you from childhood or did you make this up on your own?
No, from childhood, and I think it comes from my asthma. I was thinking about it today. I was one flight of stairs up to the restroom downstairs. So if I had an asthma attack in bed, that would be an hour expedition for me to go down and to just pee. And then I had to go back up the stairs, which is way harder. You know, I would literally sit on the stairs, one step down, have to take a recoup from that, one step down, have to recoup from that, and you know. So I always, you know, I knew that if I had to go to the restroom. Well, I was going to have a fight for an hour. And I think that is, I just knew that I had to work, I guess, for things that, I just put that into everything in life.
When you're a fighter, is that because you want to prove something? Because you're a physical? Because I don't get the fighting thing and you're very good at it. So what goes through your head?
For me, it 100% it came from me being bullied. I was the leper in school, you know. I had to wear gloves. I would do this. My hands would burst. Pus would come out. It was disgusting. So kids, you know, they think you're contagious. You know, you don't have any friends. So I was always separated. I was always bullied. And then I saw a Bruce Lee movie, and I realized, wait a minute, that's a little guy. If I be like that, I could just beat the bullies up. And I started training, and I got in a fight with the biggest bully in school, knocked him out, one shot. And that was it. 95% of the bullying stopped. And now I went after everybody. I made a list. You know, I had 2 other friends who got bullied. We made a list with all the bullies on it. And we went after every single guy. You know, and every other person that got bullied, guess who took care of that problem? You know, so I suddenly realized, hey, I have a good feeling for it. And then suddenly free fighting, but they call mixed martial arts now, came along in Japan. It was in 93. What can you do? Well, you can choke, you can punch, you can kick, you can do extra. What do they pay? Yeah, okay, I'll do it. You know, well, whatever. And suddenly I just am in Japan fighting and I start excelling at it. I had no clue. I have to say, my work ethic is really extreme. Yeah. You know, I commit and I commit. So people say, oh, but you learn fast. You have no clue what I do. I mean, I woke up when I started focusing on the submission game, like chokes and neck breaks and all leg locks, I woke my wife up at least 6 times in the middle of the night. I would dream a submission. I would put her in the submission. And I created a new one. And then I would write down and said, hurts your shoulder, right? Yeah, okay, it's a shoulder thing. And then the next day I would try it out in training. You know, the whole house was full with little pockets. You guys still married? Yes, we're 28 years together. Yeah.
Come on there, tapping out.
Yeah.
All right, so along with the book, what is one unhabit that you would say to somebody?
An unhabit?
Yeah, something people should stop doing to be successful.
Oh.
Like a pet peeve of yours.
Being late.
Being late, okay.
Being late, you know, you don't want to come 2 times too late with me because I won't show up the 3rd time. I will tell you the first time if you come too late. I say, don't do that again. You come 2nd time, that's it. I'm out. I can't stand it.
Why is that important to you?
It's important because time is the only thing we can't get back. I'm always on time. Why can't you be on time? That's what I always say. I'm actually 10 minutes or 15 minutes before the meeting. I'm always there already in the car. I'm waiting. I just made it a habit to always be on time. You know, and I hate people. You see, but I do this with everything, you know, and I won't, you know, my friends, if go like, oh man, if I'm 5 minutes late, I say, no, leave 5 minutes sooner. That's what you're going to do. Because, and now especially that you said you're going to be 5 minutes late, at noon, 1 second after, I'm out. Now I make it a game, you know, so yeah, that's the thing. It's a very disrespectful thing.
I left Los Angeles for that reason. It didn't matter how soon I left. I could never make my appointments in LA. I don't care what was going on.
The worst, yeah.
But you still managed to figure that out.
Oh, yeah, no, because I leave very early. If I go to LA and I know it's during the day, most of the time I'm there 45 minutes before because I simply don't want to show up late. I don't want to be that guy because I despise it. And then I hope that other people don't do it with me.
But at what moment did you decide that you hated it? I know exactly when I decided. I had a teacher who embarrassed the one person who was late and taught us that no excuse, it doesn't matter. You made a promise to be in your seat at a certain time and you broke your promise, and that means about breaking integrity. And I remember I was mortified. And from that time, I have never been late either. In fact, I used to work for ESPN. If you were not 15 minutes early, you were late.
You're late, yeah. No, and I think it's my parents. My parents, they instilled all these great principles with me. Listen, when I was 12 or 14 years old, I had 2 newspaper jobs, a daily and a weekly. I worked as a dishwasher. I restocking groceries. I worked on the farm, you know, and I made a killing because we were like tomatoes. Every little box of tomatoes that you have, you get money for. It was not per hour. It was per how many you do go. So if you worked hard, you got a lot of money, you know, and I always had money because I was always working. So that later on in life, everything was just easy because I'm used to working already. I worked so hard when I was a kid. So I hated my mom and dad for it when I was young. I remember that because I would get a stereo. I would ask for a stereo and they would give me an amp and a record player at the time. And then they say, okay, go make the money for your speakers.
Oh,
you know?
no.
And I go, oh no, but you know what? Like 10 or 15 years ago, I called my dad and it was on Father's Day. And I said, thank you so much for having done that to me because it helped me in the rest of my life. I can do anything. I can lose a job now. I can sell cars tomorrow because I know I'm good with people and because I'm honest, I truly love people. So it's not an act, you know, I'm really and people see that when you mean something. So yeah, no, that was a great thing that they did with me.
What was your biggest obstacle ever?
Oh, my biggest obstacle ever. It's a hard one. Yeah, you see that it's hard for me an obstacle because I overcome. I always say that whatever I do, I go after. Yeah, it's hard. Maybe be too hard on myself, but sometimes that but for the rest, yeah, it sounds really egomaniac, but I think whatever I tried, I'm pretty good at.
So my fiance is a 3-time world champion physique model. You should meet him. He's lovely. He has a very unique way of training. On January 1st of this year, the fittest man on the planet, present company excluded, but he was going to the Arnold. January 2nd, on his motorcycle, he got taken out by a car. Oof. And spent the last 6 months in a wheelchair. I would say that's his biggest obstacle right now. He's still walking with a cane and fighting to get back to where he was. That's an obstacle.
Yeah. Okay. So, but that's with me, my asthma, and that's with my eczema, but I made it my power. You see what I mean?
No, I love what you mean. Let me tell you something. I teach and coach this stuff. So this brings up an interesting question. Before I get to that, what's one quote? You know how on your picture, there's the book. We need a quote about a habit or something that you live by.
You know, there's a few quotes that I always use for fun. If one is good, two is better, you know, but I say only for my wife. That's the exception. But whatever you don't like and it's part of your job, do that a lot. That's what I always say.
Could you say that's a habit?
Yeah, but you have to make it a habit, because a lot of people, what they do is this. For instance, like let's say use fighting. Whatever. No, it doesn't matter. Yeah, let's use fighting as an example. If I'm a really good puncher and kicker, then in the gym I always want to punch and kick because that's where I excel at.
Right.
You know, every person that had bad grades in school, it was for subjects that they didn't like. 100% guarantee. The ones that they like, they excel at. You know, so I always say, if you sometimes there is something in part of your job that you don't like. But I say, and most of the time it's don't like, that means you don't understand. But once you understand it and you force yourself on there and you start to understand it, then now it starts to become better and fun to do. And once it becomes fun, you do it a lot. And when you do it a lot, you become good. You know, and that's what happened with me with my submission game. I got beat by submissions. And my third loss by submission, that's a long time ago. I decided, okay, I don't like it, but I'm going to teach myself to love it. And then I started focusing on it. And then I became obsessed with it because suddenly I saw the possibilities and the reactions. I won my next 8 fights by submission. People go like, what the heck is going on? Before I was just knocking people out. Now suddenly I start submitting them. I never lost a fight again. So just because I made that decision, I went undefeated in my last 22 matches. So, you know, it works with that. And that's the same with that stamina. Stamina was my worst thing. So I made it. I didn't want to get tired because it would put me in the mind frame of me having an asthma attack. It was really weird. I was afraid of getting tired until I told myself, I'm going to love it. And then every time when I would get really tired, I would shout, oh, I love it. I want to get more tired, more. And I was just brainwashing myself and boom, suddenly I loved it.
We have the Bas Rutten motivational series out yet, dude?
Yeah.
I've met a lot of people. I've not heard someone. Maybe Don Wilson comes close. You know, Don the Dragon?
Oh, Don's great. Yeah.
He's got that same kind of the way he keeps going. But I love the fact that you overcame something to get there. Yep. How would you like to be remembered? What would you like people to say about you?
Oh, that's so good. Ford said that line. I tell all my students, I want to be remembered as a decent guy. Just a guy who did, you know, to help his fellow man and to help everybody, you know, and then at the end, after they did all that talking, they say, you know, he was actually a pretty good fighter as well. But that I don't want to be remembered as the fighter. I would just want to be the good guy, because I think we needed way more. If I was at the airport in Las Vegas and you know, and these old people come in and nobody stands up, and there were a whole bunch of kids, and I started shouting at the kids, are you guys serious? Get your ass up. Let these people sit down. I go like, wow, the parents don't teach that. That is amazing when that doesn't happen. You see, just hold the door open for somebody. That's not so bad. Oh, somebody backs up the car. Why would they get angry if you don't see them? You know what I do? I back up. I say, oh, I stop traffic. Actually, I help them to back out because I know it's a nightmare. You know, I don't shout because it cost me 5 seconds of my life. Come on, just relax. Be a decent person.
See and enjoy each other in a way that we could never before. I'm not getting on a plane tonight to California.
Yeah. It's awesome. And nobody's getting sick.
That's true. You have children?
Yes, I have 3 daughters and a grandchild, also a 5-year-old.
Wow, congratulations. I've got
thank you.
17-year-old twins. Hey, what's your first memory in life?
Oh, well, this is really, well, a big one is, of course, knocking out the bully. But before that, I was 10 years old and I was staring out of the window. And that's always stuck with me because it came later back in my life. And I was looking at a tree. And the teacher was trying to get a hold of me. And I heard them laugh, the kids. And suddenly he's shouting, Ruth. And I go, what? He go, what are you doing? I said, I'm looking at the tree. And he goes, what is up with the tree? How did the tree get there? And he said, they planted it there, stupid. I go like, yeah, I understand that. I said, but the tree before, the tree before, the tree before. And if you go all the way back, where do trees come from? And then 6 years ago, I'm sitting in on a talk with somebody who was talked about how the world started. And he started with, and it made such an impact on me, that whole story what he started with, but he started with a leaf fell from the tree. That was the first thing he said. And then he says, that leaf just reached its end destination. Let's go start backtracking it. And he went back to the branch and he goes to the tree before, the tree before, the tree before. And that was for me because I took so much medication. I don't have a lot of memories from when I was a kid because it affected my memory, they found out later. But that was the most vivid thing there was. It was almost like God planted a seed in my head. This is going to come back 30 years, 40 years from now. And then suddenly when the guy started talking about it, it made such a profound that it got me full back into the faith. Well, a lot happened. Like I've been attacked by a spirit. I've been seeing curtains flying in my house up, nobody's in the home. I've seen some really crazy things. I was, I think, the victim of some crazy entity for quite a while. So once I realized that bad force is there, then automatically the good force has to be there as well. So when he started talking, it was like, okay, I'm back, I'm in. So that changed my life, yeah.
Wow, this has been amazing. Hang on one quick second, because I would love Joshua to say hi to you. How did you meet your wife?
Huh?
How did you meet your wife?
Oh, you know, it was the one rule that I always broke, you know, but I was a teacher. And they always said, never date your students.
Oh, wait, how old? Okay.
And I broke the rule once, but that's 28 years ago. So
Martial arts teacher?
Yeah, martial arts teacher, yeah, striking. I was a Thai boxer at the time. And then, you know, I met her before, 2 years before, and she predicted everyone. She said, you're going to go to Japan, you're going to do this, we're going to move to America. She said this years before it all happened, and it actually came true.
Well, I'm a martial artist as well. I ended up the day after I got mugged. I should have studied martial arts the day before.
Whoa.
But yeah, Taekwondo, Wing Chun, Aikido, many, many years. And
nice.
Come say hi to Joshua.
Hey, how you doing?
So this is
doing good. How are you doing?
Good.
So he tells a fascinating story about the reason that he does what he does is because he suffered from asthma and eczema as a kid, and he got bullied and picked on.
I got bullied and picked on.
Is that why you do what you do?
Because I have big ears and hairy arms, and I talk funny. Couldn't pronounce my R's.
Your R's. So I wanted you guys to meet. Also, he doesn't know what this is. So remember I showed you, long before I realized I was going to talk to you, about his breathing product. Because in the hospital, they made you do that. And it'd be interesting to talk about. Will you describe your breathing product to him?
It's a very simple thing. Let me lean over. It's this. It's a very simple thing. It's a flap on here. So it blow out, the air comes out. And if I breathe in, it closes, forces you to breathe into this side. And this comes in 15 different sizes. It goes from 15 millimeter all the way, 14, 13, 12, all the way to 1 millimeter. So you can gradually, but slowly, but surely, you can decrease the size hole so you get more and more resistance. So you start training, you do breathing exercises with it, strengthens your diaphragm. But a lot of people don't know that we have, we have about 10 pounds of breathing muscles in our body. And the feeling that you are gassing, that is literally oxygenated blood going from your limbs to your breathing muscles, which you cannot train. But this thing can train it. So now suddenly if you bring your body up, because people don't know how stamina works. Stamina is very simple, like, well, there's many factors. But one of the biggest factors is that if you train a muscle over and over again, it becomes more efficient. And once it becomes more efficient, it uses less oxygen. So your whole body becomes more efficient, but you're forgetting your 10 pounds of breathing muscles that you have, your core, your diaphragm, your intercostal muscles. Once you train your body to a 2.0, so to say, but you forget those breathing muscles, well, you're still going to get tired. So this is what you train. It takes 3 minutes a day, under 4 minutes a day. I'm doing it 4 minutes now just because I want to push the limits. I'm going to go to 5 minutes, but you don't need to. And my stamina, I should not have that stamina that I'm having right now. I did two times endurance training for the last 7 or 8 weeks, and I just blow through my workout like it's nothing. And I'm looking at my wife and go, this is insane. It's a big thing.
Have you presented this to other fighters?
Yeah, of course. But you know, it's now they start coming because, like I just explained, I got in contact with the trainer from 4 Olympic gold medalists, and they all using it. And now suddenly I have 12 published medical journals that back up everything that I've been claiming. And published medical journal, that means it's clinically proven. It's not clinically tested, you know, but they use in the stupid commercials like, oh, it's clinically tested. Yeah, don't buy it. Because if it was clinically proven, it would have said that, you know. Testing doesn't mean anything. What was the result of the test? That's important. And the published medical journal is clinically proven. So that gave me a lot of power and validity, and now a lot of people are using it.
Well, good for you. Happy for you.
It's kind of cool. So he has not seen spin gym. So I'm going to show you something because you need to know this. So this is a product, as little as this looks, but watch what this does to every muscle on his body. Well, check this out. In your thumbs. Go, 10, 9. So now, all my fitness experts, bring it down a little bit lower, stand up really tall. What do you see? So all of his pecs are fine, You see delts fine? You see ab engaged? I'm gonna turn you around, just gonna use you, right? No, stay right there. Just right there, just pull intensely. All the striations in his shoulders. Look at his entire back. How deep is that? So it's interesting because not many products that are like this, also scientifically proven, do all of those muscles at the same time. I'll tell you, all the way through his entire body. So I will send you one of these. Joshua.
Yeah, love to.
What do you think of this? All kidding aside, because it's...
If you take this seriously, it will kick your ass for sure.
Okay. Listen, I'm all into that kind of stuff.
So quick. You can put all your effort into it. And then with the snap, I'm changing muscles from bicep to tricep to front delt to rear delt to lats.
That's good.
Just like that.
So it's nice to have somebody like him endorse it. I'll send you one in a boy color.
Yeah, it's the best, but you can bring it everywhere you go. That's the best thing.
Oh, let me tell you something. This you do one song, you do 3 minutes to this full out. What does it do to you?
If you worn out?
And you but of course, if you combine that with your breathing apparatus, that's kind of 1-2 punch.
Yeah, there we go. Bada bing, bada boom.
All right, so I just have to ask you, do I have your approval to use this interview?
Yes, you can. Yeah.